I'm Chef Anakaren, and we're gonna make some mole. This is a very easy and convenient way of making mole, where you're still getting those flavors and that feel of mole without really having to work too hard. So we're gonna start off by marinating our roast, which I have here. It's a little over 2 pounds. An arm roast, a chuck roast, any of that will do. It's really delicious. It's got a nice little marbling on it. And all we're gonna do with it is marinate it in an already pre-made mole paste. And all I'm gonna do is rub the roast with this. Then we're gonna put it in a bag and let it sit overnight. And you wanna make sure that you get all in there. Don't leave any spot untouched. Season with a little bit of salt. And we're just gonna grab any large size bag. We're gonna nestle it in there and put it in the refrigerator and let it sit overnight. So here I have a roast that's all ready to go. It marinated overnight. And so all we're gonna do is get this electric pressure cooker going onto the saute mode. We're gonna make sure it's nice and hot. Put a little bit of oil in there, and then we're gonna get this seared. And we're gonna place our roast right into the center, and we're just gonna let that sear a few minutes on each side. Okay, so now you can really start hearing the sizzle here. You don't wanna move your roast. You want it to create a really nice crust on there. You want it to really get into the meat. Now, let's remember that roast has multiple sides, so let's make sure that we're flipping it on all sides. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the roast. I have a sheet pan here ready to go. Now sometimes you might find that you need to add a little bit more oil, so go ahead and do that because we're going to roast our vegetables next. And all of the spices have kind of sat at the bottom of the pot, and we're going to go ahead and deglaze that too to get all of that flavor. We're going to add some onions, 1 large onion. And always season your onions a little bit to kind of help them sweat. Now after adding the onion, we're gonna go ahead and add just a couple cloves of garlic. And now we're gonna give this just a quick little stir, make sure all those onions are getting nice and evenly cooked. All right, so we're just looking for a little bit of color here. You don't have to caramelize them or anything like that. We just want a quick little sear. Okay, at this point, I'm going to add some tomato paste. I'm going to add fresh oregano. And then that mole that we had saved earlier, we're gonna go ahead and also add it in here. It's going to help season the broth. Now we're just cooking off the tomato paste a little bit. It's got some of that raw tomato flavor, and so we just wanna cook it off a little bit. Now the fun part. I like to use red wine to deglaze the pot. It could be any kind of red wine, whatever you're going to be pairing it with to drink later or to drink while you're cooking, because, you know, let's be honest, we all need a drink sometime. I love that sound. Now that this is ready, we're gonna bring our roast back into the pot, and we're gonna nestle it right in there. Nice little bed. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our beef stock. We want enough just to kind of to coat it. And so now what we're gonna do, we're gonna take our electric pressure cooker, and we're going to change it to pressure cook. And we're just gonna manually make it 1 hour. We're gonna make sure our lid is on, seal that, and then we will cook that for 1 hour. Okay, so the roast is in the pressure cooker. We're gonna go ahead and let that just relax and hang out for the next hour. And now it's time for me to relax, so I poured myself a little glass of wine. We're going to go ahead and make the starch of this dish, which is our hominy. We're just gonna go ahead and put a couple of cans in here. I'm gonna take just a couple of tablespoons of butter or more, and I'm just gonna add that right in there. And we're gonna take 2 cups of heavy cream. It's going to be really rich and delicious. Season with a little bit of salt and a little bit more pepper than what you would usually use. I just really like the flavor of that. And we're going to give this a really quick mix. We're going to crank this up. And once it comes to a boil, we'll let it simmer for a little bit, and then we will go ahead and pull some of it. You don't want sort of a lumpy hominy. I'm going to go ahead and process some of it so that when we put it back in here, it's a little bit silkier. Think of it kind of like a polenta sort of consistency, or maybe even grits, which people are a little bit more familiar with. Now I went ahead and grabbed my blender. We're going to take about half of the hominy and heavy cream that we have here, and we're just going to spoon it in here. Okay, now make sure that you get enough liquid in there to kind of help the blender out, otherwise it's going to be working too hard. And we're going to set this aside, and then we're going to add just a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. I'm going to lock this into place, and we're just going to pulse. Now that it's all mixed in, we're going to go ahead and add it back to the pot. And then just kind of use your spoon to help you out there. And so we're just going to mix this in with the hominy that's already been in the pot. Our roast has finally finished cooking. Are you guys ready? Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Now we're just going to pull out the roast. Be careful because it's tender, so it might want to fall apart a little bit. I just bring the sheet to it, and we're going to shred it up. We're going to take our bowl. We're going to add a nice scoop of hominy right in the center. The beef, put it right in the middle, and ladle some of this delicious broth right over the top. And this is our convenient take on mole. It's great for date night, stay at home. There's plenty for leftovers. And for this recipe and others like it, go to kansasbeef.org.